Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be back with another Young Indian, part of the Voice of the Young series. Right now, we have with us Shivalee Duara. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Shivali.
Thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity. So I'll just give a brief introduction about myself before we deep dive into this. So my name is Shivalee Duara. I'm currently a second year student pursuing a bachelor's in economics honors from Daulat Ram College, University of Delhi. So that's a very short intro about me, but I'd like to kind of tell you about a little bit of my background when it comes to my schooling. So um, w- uh, I have always been, like, I would say, an academically good student. Like, I have had good marks, but the subject I think I struggled the most with was always mathematics, which is funny because now I'm doing economics honors, which is quite a math heavy subject in Delhi University. I think that math was the time that I realized that I actually have to work hard for something to do good in it. The other subjects did come easily, and that was the first, I think, learning experience that I had. So later I started enjoying that subject because it was something I got out of merit for the first time. So then after my 10th, I was kind of asked to join the science stream. I had physics, chemistry, maths, plus economics and English. Although science was never the stream that I took out of preference. But I think at the end of the day, I was very happy because what I realized during that whole experience of choosing science as a subject was I actually enjoyed the process. I liked the analytical subjects like physics, chemistry, maths. They were enjoyable to me. They were not like, I did not feel like I was doing something that I was not interested in. So that that was the first time that I actually realized that I do like numbers. I do like analysis. I like the factual part of things. But another thing that I realized while having science stream is that as much as I liked it, as much as I liked the rigidity of the course, I did not necessarily always love the fact about how strict it was in its boundaries. What I mean by that is that e- econ- economics is a subject that's very interdisciplinary, right? You can connect it with a lot of things, whether it's politics, whether it's psychology, whether it's even art or language. And that is something I missed when I had science. So, and having economics as one of my electives during 12th really helped me to kind of be more in touch with the creative part of science. And that's why I chose economics, because for me, economics is a mixture of science as well as art. And that's the most beautiful part of it, according to me. So, when I decided I wanted to pursue economics honors, then Delhi University was my first choice. And a very big part of it was because I wanted to have the opportunities that I would most probably not have. I'm from Assam, so maybe the opportunities that I would not have in a state university, I wanted to avail those. So I applied for DU and I got a seat in
Which
Daulat Ram
city in
College,
Assam? Which city in Assam?
Jorhat. I was
Right.
born in Jorhat.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So, so as I was saying, I got a seat in Delhi University at Daulat Ram College, and I was very excited that I would be able to join the institution.
Yeah.
So, apart from that, now coming into college, if I kind of reflect in my first semester, I would say that if I kind of try to remember it, it has been uh, when I look back on it, there was not a lot of things that I did apart from my academics, which is not a bad thing per se. But it was like I kind of stuck to my studies a lot. But yes, I had other experiences. I was getting used to a new city, so that was a part of it. But once my first semester ended, I kind of reflected on it, and I realized that a lot of like I was mostly very very focused on my academics, which is a good thing. But one of the reasons I came to Delhi was to have more opportunities. So I really wanted to avail those. So in my second semester, I just thought that I would try to do as much as I can and avail as many opportunities that I can and make use of the fact that I'm staying away from my family, moving to a new place. So in my second semester, I did my first internship. That was with a policy think tank. It was called Niti Tantra. It's still there. So what I did in Niti Tantra is I had to write research papers, which was very, very exciting to me because I've always known that I'm more interested in research. I'm more interested in policy, economics as like basically the core of it, to be very honest. So when I got that internship, it was very amazing. So my work in Niti Tantra is I had to write three research papers, one on an economics field, one for international relations, and one a legal paper. So for my first paper, I had to write about agricultural finance in India and basically about what is the conditions on farmers in the country. So then I studied about like Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. I read about Kisan credit cards, and that was the first time that I realized how vast the subject is beyond just the textbook and how much we basically don't know about it. And that was a great learning experience. I think I really would emphasize on the fact that please do an internship because what I learned in that process is that, so when you're writing something for, let's say, your college, a lot of the times you're just paraphrasing. Because you don't really have an idea of like how to go about writing one. So I remember when I submitted my first draft for the economics paper, my mentor, he kind of rejected the entire paper. He said that this is, this is not up to the mark. You need to work on it, and he sent me like so many articles and papers, and I was just very overwhelmed. But I think that was great experience because that was also a very humbling experience. That was the first time an entire paper had been rejected like that. So I kind of worked on it. I researched a lot. Me and my mentor, we went over things many times as to basically the thing was what he mentioned a lot to me is don't really paraphrase a lot. Think about what is not there and what you can add in it and have something of your own. That was a very big emphasis on that paper. So I wrote that. Another paper that I wrote during this internship that I really enjoyed, as well as I think was the best one I wrote, in the sense the most exposure I got, was actually a legal paper, which is very surprising to me because I said initially that please don't make me write a legal paper. I have no knowledge about this domain, but he said that your mentor, she would be great. She I think she's a lawyer herself, so it was like she would guide you. So it was about abortions in India and how we can make the MTP medical termination at a little bit more accessible to other women in this country. So when I sat with her, she initially told me what is your stance on abortion in India? And I gave a very vague answer because I didn't have much knowledge on it. So she said that, take a week, reflect upon it, and then come back to me. So during that week, that was the first time I kind of got an idea about the legal side of things because I never kind of researched upon it, to be very, very honest. So, um, and she would like, sit down with me on like an hour long phone call and then would just she was very particular, and there were a lot of things that she said that really stood with me. She said that the way you write tells a lot about the way you think and who you are as a person. And one thing, like, I am the kind of person who always kind of puts a little bit too much on her plate, and so she's like always fumbling around a little bit, to be honest. So she said that that sometimes reflects in your writing, so be very detailed at the same time, write in a way that it's not cluttered, be patient with it. And basically we went around a lot of loopholes. Now the thing is, because she was a lawyer, she could actually point out the things that were already being implemented, or the things that would actually be feasible. So at the end of the paper you had to give policy recommendations, or how you could you're researching, but what do you actually recommend? So when we used to discuss those policy recommendations, that would be very interesting because that is the part where I was giving my own suggestions, where I was doing something that was primarily of my own, to be very specific. So she would say to me that this is not feasible, or do you think this could be done in some other way? So that really, really intrigued me, and when it came to like research. So, and then I also wrote an international relations paper, but that is yet to be published. It's almost done. It's going to be published soon. So this was about the first internship I did, and it was very amazing because it also taught me a lot about, being set on deadlines, and at the same time communicating the progress that you have made when you were doing it. So it was a great learning experience. Now, apart from that, another thing I did in my second semester is, as I said, that I really wanted to try out new things, which I didn't really do in my first sem. And although I knew that I want to go into research, I also thought that maybe I'm restricting myself. Like I came with one mindset, but maybe I should also try other things. So there was a very big consulting craze in Delhi University, and also like going into strategy, going into corporate. So I don't know when it, I think it was the FOMO part of it that caught up to me, and I also got into this craze of doing case competition. So what a case competition primarily is that a company, there's a business problem that you need to solve based on your recommendations. Now, why I was interested in it is to kind of get an idea of whether business interests me. And at the same time, there's a lot of research also that goes into it, because, research drives solution. So there's a lot of research that goes into it. So I was like, let's do it. And the first one I did was very, very special to me. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. I did it with one of my friends who is now my friend, but I didn't really know her. I think I randomly reached out to her on LinkedIn and said, "Do you want to do this?" And she was also very enthusiastic and proactive. So she said, "Yeah, let's do it." And I had one more girl who happened to be in my college, but we never had met each other. She was from BCom honors. That's the first time we met. So that competition was a brand strategy competition. It was held in IIM Lucknow, and it was for a company called Pizza Hut. So basically what happened is they gave us this business case. Not allowed to say what the case was, but it was related to the company, and we got it. And that was the first time that, we felt like we were working on a real life problem, because the company Pizza Hut was actually going through this issue. So we had to implement or recommend solutions on what they could do different. So we worked, researched upon it. We got on Google Meets and we submitted a 3-slider deck, and it ended up getting selected. And they said that for the final round, please come to IIM Lucknow. And
Wow.
that was, I was like, okay, like that's great. And we went there, and before we went there, we also got the news that the judges for the competition would be the CEO of Pizza Hut and the marketing director. So
Wow.
we were just like, we're kids. What do we even say to these people who are in such position and have such experience? But we did go there, and it was great experience, because our competing teams, we were the youngest team. Our competing team, they were MBA students from FMS, from IIFT, IIM Lucknow. So all of these institutions, and I even remember when the CEO was addressing the crowd, like there were 10 teams, they said, there is that team, because we were literally kids. There is that team who do not probably don't even know the 3 P's of marketing, but they're really good at it. So it was funny, but yeah. So, but we did end up pitching it to them. And the strange thing was we ended up winning that competition. So we came first, and thank you. Yeah, so that was great, because the thing we realized is that was the first time we worked on something that was kind of bigger than us, because the solutions that we recommended would be implemented by the company. Um, and that was something that made us realize that we could be part of something that would be impactful. And especially even if you are young, you can have impact through your work. So that was an amazing experience. After that, I did other case competitions from IIM Kozhikode, ICICI Securities, and then a global one which was with Hong Kong Business School. So that was a bit about case comps. Now, because I started doing them, I got into the business side of economics a lot. And I think maybe over along the way, I kind of lost track of what exactly I wanted to do, and I was very confused. And during, by the, I think, end of first year, like when second sem was ending, I got the opportunity to intern at FICCI, which is the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So that I actually worked under the WTO, FTA, and Foreign Trade Department. So when I was in FICCI, the reason I wanted to do this internship was to actually gauge whether I'm truly, really, really interested in research, and maybe to work in a bigger organization and to get an idea. So when I got FICCI, that was honestly a dream come true, to be part of an organization like that. So what my work at FICCI was is to basically create research reports about different uh, like markets, to be specific. For example, the tea sector, then the textile and apparel sector, and at the same time, there was a rice ban that was imposed in India for like broken rice. So I kind of understanding how our export sector has been hit, because maybe not very bad. It's like when I did the research report on tea, I also had the opportunity to interview someone who was a sustainability consultant. And what we basically learned is that what are the non-tariff barriers, real life problems that exist in the ground level, and how can you actually solve them? Because these might look like ground level small problems, but later in the trade market they end up being a non-tariff barrier, and the product that you're exporting ends up getting rejected. So this was the primary thing I had to study, the problem and as well as the data to substitute what I was saying. So this is what I did on my research reports. And uh, this internship was very great because it was very economics based. And I really ended up, through this internship, regaining my love for economics. Why I chose the subject, to be honest, in the first place. Because I think kind of getting into the business side of it, I lost sight of things as
Hmm.
to why I came to this course in the first place. So that really gave me a lot of clarity as to what I want to do. And another thing that it taught me is that I genuinely loved international trade. Like initially, I got into that vertical, but I thought, what could I add? But I realized it is quite interesting to study India's export market and to study how we have been doing over the last 5 years or how another country has been doing. So these are the things that I studied. I also studied the rice ban and textiles. Textiles and garments, they're like divided under various chapters from chapter 60 to 62, 61, 62, 63, and like going through every HSN code and then kind of getting a hang of where the problem lies, because it's very interesting. It's like one HSN code is doing really great, but the other is not doing that great. So that kind of variability is very interesting to study. And it really kind of taught me again the beauty of economics, of how like diverse it is, but at the same time how you can use data to simplify it. So that is one thing I did at Fiki. The other thing, I also made country reports, profiles for like Australia, Vietnam, Brazil, kind of understand what are bilateral trade relations with this country and what we could do to, kind of bridge those gaps. So yeah, so I had a great experience at Fiki. It really, really taught me a lot, but most importantly, it kind of made me love my course back, which I'm really grateful for. So this was my first year, but mostly I think it was my second semester. It was pretty amazing. I was very grateful because it kind of really validated my point of coming to study in Delhi in the first place, to get these opportunities that maybe I would not have been able to avail in Assam. So that I was very, very grateful for. Then coming to like my second year now, as I said, I really have understood right now that research is what my primary interest lies in, and that's what I want to do. And I think for that, you should have a very good foundation of the subject that you're doing. So I am paying more attention in my classes, at least I'm trying to, and at the same time, kind of trying to get a hang, not just hang, but to understand it in a more deeper level, maybe that I've not tried in my first year. Maybe I did in my first year to get a good CGPA, but this year to actually see that, this subject has impact and you should not just treat it as like passing the exam. So that's something. Another thing that was very interesting in my second year is that, so our college, like our department, economics department, has a magazine called Optima, which is our annual outlook. So this year, because I knew that I was so interested in research, I wanted to be the editor in chief. So I applied for that position and I got in. So this year I'm the editor in chief for Optima. And so that again gives me an opportunity to bring the topics that I am interested in to forefront, and at the same time have people work with me to publish a magazine. At the same time, we're trying for a journal. So that is something very exciting because we'll get to work with when we'll have, hopefully if we have the journal, we'll have article submissions from maybe PhD students as well as professors who we will work with, and we'll also learn a lot, as not just me, I think a lot of people in my college as well who are interested in research. So Optima kind of will give them that opportunity to, if they didn't know how to maybe do research or they wanted to know more about how to go into it, I think being able to have that opportunity would be great. So that's something I'm looking for in this SEM, I would say, is to get Optima published nicely and hopefully have a journal. The other thing that I did that was very exciting was,
Moon,
so when
just a second. Moon, go ahead.
yeah. So when I came to Daulat Ram College, although I was very excited, what I realized is even in DU, there is a lot of division amongst the colleges. Some colleges are considered slightly better than the others. So I had, friends and peers who dreamt of other colleges more. So and what another thing I realized is that there is an opportunity gap in a few colleges, in the sense that I would, even in North Campus, I would see students of a few other colleges having more of an opportunity than maybe me, even though I also really would work hard to maybe get that. But I didn't really have the opportunity to avail it. So I think I had to create those availability, opportunities sometimes. So me and my friends, we kind of started our own venture because of that reason, because we wanted to do something where students like us who were very interested but did not have that opportunity to get maybe exposure in the terms that of like internship, or let's say a life project for a company. So we started this venture. I am the founder of it, called YIS Consulting. And what we do is we recruit students from tier 1 to 3 colleges. We recruit unbiasedly, and we give them the opportunity to join us for a life project, be part of it, and then to work for this company, and basically get the exposure that you might not get because let's say your college did not give you that opportunity for an internship, or you did not have a society in college that would give you that. So we had our first life project was with a social impact company called Change. So there we it was very great because we had students even from IIM Calcutta who were working with us, and it was crazy to see people actually believing in our idea and working for it, because it was just something in our head, but we were able to materialize it and also have people be interested in it. So I think that again was one of those things that reminded us that our work can have impact if you do it nicely. So yeah.
Well, I'm simply overwhelmed. It
So
is amazing. I just, I look back at my youth at this time in college. Wow. You know,
no,
all I can say is that I enjoyed life at that time. All these activities, not I just
you
having I just having college fun, nothing else. But it's really very impressive, and more than impressive, it's actually creative. I mean, the first 2 semesters, you were just getting the hang of the system, right? But now you say, okay, the system's not fair. I'm going to do something
yeah,
about it. And that, is so consistent with my message these days. My message is that in India, we need incremental change. Okay? It's like scoring a single in cricket, incremental. Okay. But more than that, we need big change, mega change. It's like hitting a six in cricket, or a four, not a four. Let's hit a six. You have hit a six with this new project of yours. Because
could you
it's
repeat the
not
question?
it's not
Okay.
thinking outside the box. It's creating a new box.
Yeah.
Right? It's not saying, okay, this is how internships are done. Let us improve it like this and like that. They know what's going on here is that there's something missing. Okay. And where it is missing, I'm not just going to bring in the same old system and tweak it a little bit. I'm going to say, this needs a new way of thinking. This needs a new style of doing. So this is my consistent message that look, think big, think big. Go into places where there's nothing happening and make something happen there, which is what you have done. So it's very, very impressive. And I'm very, very happy to hear that you are doing it. Okay. And I know that's great. All right. That's what I want
Thank
to
you
say
so
to
much.
you, that it's very good. And also to please thank your mentors in your first and second semester, because they really did a great job for you, because they didn't accept what you had done. When you are in the first and second year of college, the best thing that seniors can do for you is to say, no, this is no good. Go back. Because otherwise you get used to being mediocre, right? They have
Yeah,
to be strict with you and say, no, this is not it. You kindly go back and do it again. Because that's what will happen to you and that's how you won later on. Because people told you that, look, this doesn't make it good. This makes it mediocre. And I don't want mediocre from you. I want good, excellent, top. Do it again. There's no harm in doing it again. This is the only way that you get ahead, by being rejected and told, not rejected, but told, look, go back, do it. And I'm there to help you.
yeah.
Right? So if somebody senior says, look, do it again, but I'm there to help you, that's the best thing that can happen to you when you are young. Right?
I have a senior like that, and she has really been a great, you know, she's been really great at guiding me and kind of not seeing that as competition, but rather as like a collaboration. She's a year older to me. She's like in her third year right now. Her name is Jhalak, and I just went up to her during my first year and I said, "Can you please help me in doing this case competition? Because I know you have this, exposure." So she kind of got on a meet and explained few things, and she had no reason to do that, to be very honest, but she still did it. So that would always stay with me, and even now she's very helpful, and we work together also. So yeah.
Okay. I want to do a wit bed with her. Please let her know. All right.
Sure.
Okay. And let me ask you, what tips do you have for people in 10th and 11th and 12th? From your experience, leaving a relatively unknown town in Assam for Delhi, obviously, and choosing economics, what tips do you have for young people who are younger than you by now, 3 or 4 years?
Um, I think what the main tip I would give them is to uh, kind of not like what I saw a lot is not taking up subjects because you did not know the opportunity that existed. Like when I was in Assam, I came here and I knew that, oh, these jobs also exist. And there are a lot of ways, like even for if you want to do an MBA, like you can do an MBA even after you study something like political science, or you do English honors. These are things that I didn't know of. So I think what I really hope that schools have a better, maybe alumni network to kind of tell students that there are opportunities in like every field. And if you really are interested, please go ahead in it because that's really where you can excel. The reason I think I like to do the work that I'm doing is because I chose the subject I wanted. And I was very sure about it. Like even when I made a preference list in Delhi University, I only filled economics honors because I knew this is what I want to do. So if you really are interested in it, then kind of go into it without really thinking too much about it. But yes, obviously, you'll have to work hard for that. But that and maybe not take 11th and 12th seriously, but not that much also. Have fun along the way, and just when you're studying, just do it nicely. Otherwise, also like relax because your school friends are and the memories that you have in school are probably the most memorable, one of the most memorable.
Yeah, okay, that's very good. This is very good advice for young people. And you said they should have college alumni to guide them. Maybe they'll see these widpeds, and maybe that's what will guide them. That is one of my aims here. That's why I asked this question, so that if you don't have any seniors that you can still turn to the widpeds
Yeah,
and get an
exactly.
idea that, look, I am from Ludhiana. I don't know anyone in Delhi, and nobody here has gone from Delhi. How do I find out? Well, maybe they'll see your widped and say, wow, this girl from Jorhat could do it. Why can't I do it? Right? Maybe. Who knows? This is the one of the aims. All right.
I
Good.
I genuinely hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Anything else you want to add here?
Uh, Another thing, something I wanted to add is that, I think this is a problem a lot of young people have faced in DU, and kind of wanted to speak about it. I forgot when I was talking earlier, is about NEP, the new education policy. I have seen a lot of students face dissatisfaction because, we are taking like a lot of subjects like EBS or the art of being happy. And the thing is that these subjects, they when a student decides to specialize in something, I think it is good to give them the opportunity to do that, because a lot of the times even the classes are not held properly for these curriculums. It's kind of done because it has been introduced as this new education policy, and it is, if you kind of look at the ground reality and if you talk to the students, you realize how uh, dissatisfied they are with all of this. But again, it has been implemented, so you cannot change it. So that is something I realized, is that maybe we can think of changing that or talk to students and see how does it affect them. Like, even I heard that you can do a 4-year curriculum now if you're doing a BA honors and you get a research, so that your masters you have to do only 1 year. But again, a lot of universities don't apply any, so then your masters has to be 2 years, so there is not no uniformity as well. So it makes it hard for students. And I think the other thing I would say, because I mentioned that I didn't have maybe some opportunities that students in maybe an SRCC or Stephens had, is the fact that I think the reason they have those opportunities is also because their college administration also wants what's best for them. And, kind of actively they take steps to bring opportunities that are best for their students and care a lot about them. So I think kind of bringing focus onto students would be something that would be great in the long run.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that focus is really, um, it should be more opportunities for everyone. This I agree. As to, I had no idea as to what they are teaching in these new courses, but you have told me that they are not very helpful and so on. And I think for me, the biggest thing is that they don't teach you critical thinking.
Yeah,
Whatever is the new curriculum, it is more of, it's like, okay, I have to score marks. How do I get
yeah,
smart? Okay, I have to mug up this thing. I'll write it. It has no meaning. This is uh, what you are learning is really in the internships. That's where they are teaching you how to think, how to write,
yeah,
and even you don't know the subjects, it doesn't matter. You're smart, you're bright, you're hardworking. Figure it out yourself. That's critical thinking. Don't paraphrase, write something new. That's what they told you, right? That's
yeah,
critical thinking. So actually, what has happened is that critical thinking has been outsourced to internships. Unfortunately, that's not available in all universities.
yeah,
So you are lucky in DU, they have such things. Delhi has such things. So you are getting it. But no matter what in the new education policy, it does, I have read it, it does talk about critical thinking and holistic and this and that. But in the end, it doesn't really do the job. Okay. It doesn't do the job. And it's very hard for governments to change their minds, and nobody's going to revise it. Uh, so since you are in DU, I would say take full advantage of the fact that you are in Delhi and
yeah,
figure it out for yourself. It's always a problem for hardworking, motivated students that our colleges are not set up to give them enough. No matter how you look at it, they aren't set up because they are set up for the average student in Delhi, and they aren't set up to do things for you. There's no way to reach to you. So the only option is either you get internships or you start it yourself, which is what you have done. So I think that's an example to others that look, in India today, there are many opportunities which they weren't there in the old days. I would say they are there in the last 5 to 7 years that these opportunities have come up because of the new technologies. And smart people should focus on those rather than saying, what are they teaching us? Well, what they are teaching you is going to be, I mean, there are three parts to college these days, I think. First and foremost is friends and fun. Second is creativity and internships. And third is what they teach you in class. Unfortunately, that's the reality as I see it. Okay. Make friends from all over India, have fun, get to know India better, and learn from the various activities and the opportunities. Even in, people say South Campus is not like North Campus, but I've talked to many students from South Campus, and they're doing good things. So take advantage of the opportunities. And if you are in a small town, still through the web, internet, you can connect to many places and can get. So this is what I would say, that forget what is the new education policy. It's actually your own education policy that matters. And these days you can have your own, this is the government's education policy, this is your own education policy. And figure it out. I mean, we had no opportunities like this. So we learned how to do tough crossword puzzles on our own. There's nobody teaching you, but those were sort of intellectual exercises. You learned to read the books in the library on your own. They were not required for any course, but you read them because there was no other way to stimulate your mind at that time, right?
Yeah.
So it's up to you today, especially, as I said, to have your own education policy. Right?
That's true.
Make it your own. Do it for you and your friends. And that's how you put together these teams. I mean, honestly, nobody can learn what you learned by being the winner in the Pizza Hut competition. You can't learn it in any book or any place because you have to think, what should be our approach? How are we going to convince these people? What are we going to say? And you get only so many minutes, no?
Yeah.
Right? So you have to boil it down. This is the essence of practical thinking. That look, you have to boil it down. You have to hone your words. You have to have the confidence to speak. You have to project yourself. And on top of it, your ideas have to work. So, right?
Yeah, they have to be feasible.
That will be visible. You can't just have all glamour and what's behind the glamour. If there's nothing behind the glamour, it won't work, right? Those are not people who have come to just see glamour and glitz. They've come to see something substantive. So you have learned a lot. I would say stop worrying about the new education policy. You and your friends have your own education policy. And I would say you're getting A's in it. So forget it. If
Yeah.
just don't waste your time on trying to bring about change because the government just put it out in 2020. You can be before that was 1986, the education policy, 1986. So you can imagine how
Yeah, it's gonna be long. That's why I realized there's no option. We just have to.
that was more than 40 years before they changed the education policy. So by the time it's another 40 years, I mean, your children might be studying and grandchildren, who knows? So it's absurd to think about changing the government. It is not going to happen in the near future. So you take advantage of the opportunities and have your failures and your successes and get ahead with life.
Okay. Can I ask you a question if it's fine?
Yeah, please.
Oh, so I noticed that you were a policy consultant for World Bank for like many years, and for someone who is like interested in economics and maybe in economic consulting one day. So I just wanted to ask you, like about your experience and what kind of got you there, and basically what tips you would have for someone who is like interested in economics and that side of things too,
Okay.
like.
All right. Good. The world has changed a lot since I started there. Okay. It has changed in ways that you cannot even believe. Okay. I think I'll give you one example. I actually used to not work for the World Bank. I used to work in the US on I was teaching and working on the US. And one day I just thought, okay, fine, they pay me well, I have some spare time, maybe I'll work for the World Bank also. Those days there was no email or any such thing. We had to write letters. So I wrote letters to 3 people whom I did not know and I had no connections with. None. And they had no links. It's just a very short note. I basically say, look, I think I'm very smart. I'd like to work for you. That's it. I mailed them. And one of those guys had lunch with me and he says, okay, I'll recommend you. And I asked him the other day, why did you do it? He says, I was right, wasn't I? So then,
That's a great quote.
so then one other guy, his secretary called. Those days they had secretaries. She called and said he wants to see you. And then she says, I don't understand this because he never sees anybody. Why does he want to see you? I don't know. Okay, fine. Okay, so I went there and it was in the late evening. I was waiting in his office. Secretary has gone home. There's nobody there. I'm itching to go home. But then the guy comes. He had gone to play squash. And he just says to me, I want to see your face. One day I'll have you go. That was sheer those days. And then 1 year later, one of his assistants called and said, do you remember what that guy told you 1 year ago? I said, yeah. He says, well, you're hired. Here's your assignment. So life was different. It was not so competitive and you could do things your way, right? And they didn't hire me for anything that I knew because my first assignment was to look at natural gas in Indonesia. And I told my boss that I know nothing about Indonesia and nothing about natural gas. He said, yeah, it's okay. You're a highly recommended guy. So do it. So for me, it was always that nobody hired me for what I knew. But I was to think fresh. Okay. And to create something, as I said, that was the time I started. Not started, I'd already done that in the US, to create something where there was nothing. To go to a place where there was nothing. So, then, I had I never had to look for a consulting sort of bid for it. I also had an office. So it was understood that I don't want a job, but I'm here. Okay. And sometimes we didn't even write the terms of reference for the assignment. Just continue. So that was very different. But I certainly enjoyed the freedom to think practically, to think something new, to think something that was so crazy that nobody would agree with it. But in the end, they did. In
That's
the
the
end, they
best
did.
kind of feeling.
It was a hell of but a very good practical, sort of practical people with a great team. And my boss was very happy uh, to have me with him. And we worked together very well and with our team. And we went to places that you can't even imagine. Like, I was in Tanzania in a village, there's no electricity in a radius of 50 miles. It's dark. But we were there because we said, look, we are going to do things. We are not here to write papers or just go to the capital. And sometimes, we would go to the people in the capital, in the ministry and say, oh, we're going to do this. And they would say, oh, shall we take you on a tour? And we said, no, we first do the tour and then come here. We have seen each and every. So it was a very great experience. I really enjoyed it. It gave me much less money than I was making in the US. One day, this guy told me, Subodh, what the heck? You're not born to do that. You're born to do this. Please don't tell me we are not paying you that much money. You please do this. I said, okay, fine. If you're pressing me this hard, I'll do it. So it was great. And it gave me a chance to think and create new boxes. So in the end, that was part of it. Now, even this channel, there's no channel for young people. It's not, it's nothing that is a minor improvement on any other channel. It's completely new. Right? Nobody gives anybody a chance to talk for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Adults also don't get a chance. It's stupid. So that has been part of me, and the World Bank certainly tolerated it. Okay, fine. Subodh is different. He's going to not come for meetings when he doesn't want to come. He doesn't do what he would, he doesn't follow the rules, but he delivers the results. The first time we went to Africa, we met a minister. We had never been there. Then the minister said, guys, why have you come so late? Why didn't you come a few years ago? Well, that's it. So think fresh, think new, come up with something. And the World Bank certainly gave me that freedom because I didn't want to be in the job system. Okay, fine. So great fun. Of course, if you want a permanent job, then it is a bureaucracy. And you get into it and you have to follow the rules and you have to follow I also had to follow the rules and regulations. It's not like I could break them. No. I just could say, I'm not going to come to this meeting at 9 o'clock. I probably won't wake up. Fine, do what you like. I'm not coming. What are you going to do? Fire me then. What are you going to do? You can't write in my annual report. There's no annual report, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, but if you look for a permanent job, it is a bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And it is a slow-moving bureaucracy. The only great thing about it is that you can have a big impact. But increasingly, the World Bank is now relevant only for some African countries, and even there it faces great competition from China, because China doesn't have the expertise that the World Bank has, but China has much more money to give, to loan. And, like we see Pakistan, Sri Lanka, they're drowning in debt to China. So, okay, so that's my answer to it.
Thank you so much for explaining it like that. It was great to actually hear about those experiences because, we only read about the World Bank, but to think of it like in a different perspective. Now, when I come across the word World Bank in my economics period, I would probably think about what you said of you not attending meetings. It was
No,
great.
but I didn't attend meetings, but like there was one meeting in which one of the guy running the meeting asked a question, "What's the value here?" And nobody said anything. He said, "Subodh, what about you?" I said, "I don't know." He says, "No, that's not right. You are the numbers guy. Give me a number." And we will go with that number. If nobody else knows, you have to know. Why are you here? You don't know the number. I said, sorry, I will give you the number right now. So it was a great experience, to have it your way. And what was even great was that we went to Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. And I went personally, even though I was not staff, to convince them that they should support our work and to give us money. And they gave us the money. And I said, look, I'm not staff, but I'm here to explain to you what we are doing. They said, it's fine. We don't care for formalities. If you have come from the World Bank, you are from the World Bank. And they gave us a lot of support and money, which is why we had extra money with us in our pockets, not to spend on ourselves, but to spend there. So we worked very well with that. So it really, thanks to Scandinavia, we got a lot of the work done. All right. That's enough for us today. I think let's end it here. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you so much,
Uh,
Shivali, and congratulations. Any last thoughts from you?
uh, I think I've spoken enough
All right.
today. I don't have any last thoughts? But I think I've spoken so much
All right,
in the
great.
entire.
All right, let's end it here. Okay, bye
Uh,
everybody. I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon. Bye.